Marc Lamont Hill is totally wrong about the WNBA situation. Obviously, if you haven't been under a rock, you already know what's going on. Enes Kanter and Royce White are trying to join the WNBA draft next year. He disagrees with the entire situation. Now, he is a big liberal guy. A lot of his stance are on the progressive side. Now, I do appreciate his work with Cheyenne Bryant kind of exposing the fraud that she is. But when it comes to this topic right here, he is 100% wrong. Let's watch it and react.
So Enes Kanter and Royce White want to be in the WNBA. Tossing it to our transgender expert, Mark.
All right, so let me tell people what happened. So for the last week or so, Enes Kanter Freedom, and Royce White have both been making headlines because they have been declaring their intention to enter the 2027 WNBA draft. The reason why they're doing that is because they say that the WNBA doesn't have a clear position on whether trans women can play in the league. A part of why this is happening is because, we saw interviews with the Indiana Fever. We saw interviews with, what was another player too? But we've seen players offer different positions on whether or not they think trans women should play. But of course, the dominant position, publicly anyway, from the WNBA players has been, we're down to play with or against trans women. And that, of course, is outraging some people for some reason that I can't understand.
He can't understand why it's bothering people. Now, this is a college-educated, advanced degreed individual. I think he knows, but it's interesting when it comes to certain people and certain commentators, they act ignorant. I don't know why. He knows exactly what the problem is. It's because if you could just declare yourself to be a female, like what Enes Kanter and Royce White are doing, they can join the league and dominate the league because men are stronger, faster, and bigger than the women. The WNBA need to have a clear definition on who is allowed to play and who is not allowed to play. He knows that, but this is how he does his thing to try to make it seem like he has no idea why this is a big deal.
Yeah, to force the WNBA's hand to take a policy position.
I don't think that's transitioning. Buying a wig. Maybe
not.
I'm wrong.
It is.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not the trans expert up here.
These are progressive people now telling people what's the proper way to transition. I thought it was just based on identity. It didn't have to transition. It's I am a woman today, and that's supposed to be respected. It's pure hypocrisy, and they don't even know they're doing it.
Part of the conversation, it gets sketchy because, again, if a person says they identify as something, you can't tell them they can or can't. That's what a lot of the conversation started from originally. We were saying this a couple years ago where it's like, yo, this is a gray area that y'all are approaching by saying this person, I'm trying to be as delicate as possible, forgive me, but this person identifies as this, so must be treated as such. So that opens the door to two gentlemen saying, hey, now I am this.
So this guy gets it. And I think this perspective is what 80% of the people around here have, the same perspective. If I could say I'm a woman today, you cannot really disagree with me. It's about self-identity. So this guy gets it. Everyone else is kind of walking on eggshells and act like they don't know what's going on.
I should be allowed to play in the draft. I mean, I should be allowed to declare for the draft and enter the WNBA.
I also don't think that it's an honest conversation. That's my that's my frustration with it.
It's not.
This is a solution in search of a problem. There are no people trying to play in the WNBA who are trans. If there were a bunch of trans women, or even one trans woman trying to play in the WNBA, I think we could have a conversation about it.
Got it. But this has happened in other sports.
Like what?
There was
boxing,
swimming,
track and field.
Boxing is typically trans men. Right, it's usually trans men trying to compete.
There has been in swimming and boxing. So to say, well, it never happened before is irrelevant. It can happen. It's happening right now. So again, this argument doesn't make any sense. It's a history of it happening. A lot of people just want this whole thing to be nipped in the bud of only allowing biological women to participate in the sport of basketball.
But my point is, in every league, we can have that conversation. If it happens in hockey, if it happens in boxing, if it happens in basketball, whatever, let's have the conversation about what the people want, about what the competitors want, about what fairness is. In the WNBA case, again, there is no thing happening. Number one. Number two, the people who are in the league who would have to play against her and with her are saying, we don't care. So if the people playing...
So what's the problem then?
Great question.
If they don't care, then why are they concerned with Enes Kanter and Royce White playing if they don't care? Why this is a big deal then? The argument doesn't make any sense. The reason why it's a big deal because you're going to have a dude, I forgot how tall Enes Kanter is. It doesn't matter, but him and Royce White, they're going to embarrass the entire league. So this is a problem. That's why we're talking about it. So if it wasn't a big deal, and if they were so cool about it, this is not a story. The WNBA would say, sure, you will join the draft next year, no problem. It is a problem.
Every year or every 2 years or every 4 years, depending on what's happening politically, there are people who try to distract us from the things that actually matter and have us focus on this thing, which becomes a wedge issue. Again, I'm not making the case for or against trans women playing in the WNBA. Right. My point is, it's not an actual...
It's a non-story.
Right. Yeah.
Y'all making it up, basically.
Right, so we're using all this political energy and all this money.
He says it's a distraction. And, people are making a big deal on purpose. They're trying to take our attention away from everything that's really happening. I don't see it. Where's the distraction? We can all have multiple thoughts and multiple causes at the same time. We are human beings. We all have brains. How this is a distraction?
We're not looking at trans women who can't get housing, healthcare, who are being criminalized, who are being murdered. We're not looking at that. And for everybody who wants to protect women and girls for fairness and all that, those same people who are outraged by the WNBA aren't doing shit to create policies to protect cisgender women and girls.
He's all over the place. So because there are other big problems in the world doesn't mean that this problem that they're focusing on, I'm talking about Enes Kanter and Royce White, doesn't count. Going back to what I was saying before, we're all grown. We all have brains. We have more than one thing going on at a time. We have multiple thoughts. Saying there's bigger problems out here in the world, that's not answering the question that we're asking. The question is, should the league have a stringent rule about who's belong in the league and who doesn't? That's the question. Let's just focus. I think this is a distraction.
So what they end up doing is taking people who would otherwise be on this side of the aisle, and they drag them to another side of the aisle by saying, look at those trans people in your bathroom. Look at those trans people trying to take over high school varsity. And they're trying to make Joanna Man a real life thing that's happening all the time. I think
there's cases of this happening. So again, I think he's being willfully ignorant. It takes a couple of seconds to search online to notice that some of these issues are happening, and there is some issues here. So for him to say there's not even happening, it's ridiculous. I mean, he says that this whole thing is a solution in search of a problem. Again, if that was so easy, then this wouldn't be a problem. The whole point of this situation is a rule. You have to set the standard. So there is no big issues later in two seasons in the future, or 3 seasons, when someone decides to be 7 feet tall and wants to play for WNBA. I mean, you don't have to wait for the fire to start to decide where the fire exits are.
There is a real conversation to be had about competition in sports in trans identity. I think we can have it, but
don't just make it.
But it's not in good faith.
Yeah,
that's my issue. That's my issue.
Yeah, they're making a mockery of it. I agree with Mark.
I agree with that.
They're trolling. They're pushing all of this right wing shit. They've been on Fox News all week,
of course.
So when we say this is big in the headlines, I mean, in the black spaces, dudes is just saying, get these niggas the fuck out of here.
Yeah. No, I disagree with that assertion. You could tell, first of all, they're not really comfortable talking about this. You can tell saying that no one cares. I'm sorry. I think a lot of people find it funny. It is a troll job, but to say, well, in the black community, they don't care. No, I think we all find this pretty funny too. It is a troll job. It's a bluff. Will WNBA finally relent and say, this is getting out of hand. Only biological women can play. That's really it. Then we all move on to complain about WNBA and some other issue. But to say that the black people are saying, get the fuck out of here, they don't care. No, that's not true. Just go online, check out people talking about this. It's funny. Some people actually want this to happen. They want Enes Kanter to go win the WNBA. So to tell me that no one cares about it and we find it hilarious is not true.
Royce White, and I've known Royce since he was drafted. I mean, Royce and I are friends. I know him since the day he was drafted. He ended up not playing. He was a very good basketball player.
He was tough.
Very, very good college basketball player. He was afraid to fly, which is why he never ended up getting his NBA career off the ground. And now he's in politics right now. He's run for Senate a couple times. Royce White to me is a good example of your R&B album fails, you make a gospel album sometimes. Your political career, or rather your sports or your thing, whatever it is, it fails. You become a black right winger, and suddenly the line is short and you're in front. That's the thing that I don't like about this.
A lot of ad hominem attacks on both of these players. They talk about distraction. Doesn't really settle the question at all. Do we care about the future players that may go into this league that may be men saying that they're women just to play in the league? They can call these people a goof and clowns and all that. Fine. I mean, that's opinion. It is what it is. I know Royce White had some kind of weird case. If it was investigated and it's due process and he didn't go to jail, what else can you do? Was it something he got away with it? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you know more about what happened to Royce White. A lot of people decide to go into politics. Basketball players go into politics. Former Knick Bill Bradley was, I think, a senator. The Phoenix Suns point guard, Kevin Johnson, he was a mayor. So athletes go into politics all the time. So I don't understand that situation there. But I felt like they had some real eggshell walking. They didn't want to upset certain people. Joe Budden, he's making, $20 million a year on his podcast? He ain't want to try to rock the boat, at least on this situation. But I just think that Marc Lamont Hill, he had some bad takes on this one. It is what it is. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you agree with Marc Lamont or you agree with me? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch the video. And I'll see you guys in the next video.